What's going on, everybody? Jack Acello back with another edition of Knicks Latest. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Friday morning and looking forward to their weekend. We're back at it with free agent trade target options for the New York Knicks. We're going to talk the Knicks' full schedule and something I really don't like about it. And to finish off the week, we're going to talk about two stories that caught my eye from this past week. Let's get right to it. Starting with the Knicks trade option. This one, look, Leon Rose is a genius. I'm sure he's thought of every possible idea. This one, I don't even know if anybody's thought of it. I barely even thought of it. I thought I'd run it by. I think it's a fun experimental idea. So I'm going to discuss it. And that is trading for Chicago Bulls forward big man Leonard Miller. I haven't heard his name come up at all, but I thought I'd explore the idea. Leonard Miller is more of a wing, but has the ability to be a big man at a 5. He stands at 6'10" with a wingspan of 7'2" and is just 22 years old, going into his 4th season. He started in Minnesota. Actually, his rookie year, him and Karl Anthony Towns were actually teammates in Minnesota. Cat's last season in Minnesota was Miller's rookie year. So those two have a little bit of camaraderie. I'm sure of that. But he was traded to the Chicago Bulls at the trade deadline last season for Ayo Dosunmu, and he was a part of that package with Rob Dillingham. He was more the throw-in piece. The Bulls are looking just for young assets entirely. They got rid of Ayo. Probably could have got a better package back. But in that remaining half season that Miller got to play with the Bulls, he showed some promise. In 27 games, he had the following: 12 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, 1.3 assists on 56% shooting, 36% from 3 on about 3.2 attempts per game, and 76% from the line. So in his first taste of real minutes, he actually showed a lot of impressive numbers, playing a little bit over 20 minutes a night. I believe somewhere around 23. In his Summer League stats, he didn't play in the 2026 Summer League, but I want to mention the 2025 Summer League because there's one stat there that truly stands out. Obviously, it's only 4 games, but in the Summer League, where he got to be featured in a role, 17 points, 8.8 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and 1.5 blocks, and 50% shooting. The one thing that stands out to me, though, is the 1.5 blocks per game. That shows, at least somewhat, he has the ability to be a rim protector. Maybe not a true number or true 5, but a guy that could be a roamer and a help defender that could block shots from the weak side. That could be what Leonard Miller could become. That's why I think he could be a fit for the Knicks. Despite all his other stuff, he has the length, he has the size, he has the athleticism, he could score. He could play the 4 and the 5. He's at the perfect age. He's a guy that can play multiple spots and everything that the Knicks need. That part of it is good. But the best reason I think he could be good is because he'd have Mike Brown. And Mike Brown is the exact coach that could bring out his defensive potential. Don't get me wrong. Mike Brown has developed into a very nice offensive coach since the Light the Beam team in Sacramento and what the Knicks did in the playoffs last season. He has become, offense has been entrenched into his identity. But Mike Brown started and has always been a true defensive coach. That's been his calling card. And what does he do best? He takes and figures out how to get the best defensively out of all his players. Look no further than this past season. The two guys that stand out the most in particular were Jordan Clarkson and Karl Anthony Towns. Two guys that are known to be below average defenders for their entire careers. Two great scorers. Jordan Clarkson was playing the absolute best gritty defense of his entire career. And Karl Anthony Towns was playing the best defense he ever played on the Knicks' run through the finals that eventually won them championships. There was moments that Cat was being called the Wemby stopper. That's how good his defense was. Mike Brown gets a ton of credit for that. His early days in Cleveland, those teams were all about defense when they had guys like Boobie Gibson and Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Larry Hughes, and Drew Gooden. Those guys were defenders, and they won with defense. He was a huge part of Golden State's dynasty run, which was built on defense. And obviously, people could talk about the Splash Brothers, but the Warriors were always a great defensive team. They were no worse than top 5 in any of their title seasons. The defense is what won them games and won them championships. So because of that, Mike Brown is a defensive coach. He teaches guys how to be in the right spot, how to play in a system, and how to use your size, your strength, your traits, your tools. That's what Mike Brown would do for Leonard Miller. He would teach him how to be an elite 4-5 with 6'10", 7'2" wingspan, how to defend, how to be a smart defender, how to be knowing when to go for the block shot. That's everything that he could do. Now, like I said, Leonard Miller showed a lot of promise. So we have to ask ourselves, why would the Bulls do this? I'll say this off first. The Bulls are the Bulls. They're incompetent. They have been since the day Michael Jordan retired after his final shot that won them their 6th championship. The Bulls have barely done anything right. So they could do something dumb. I'll get to more of that in a bit. But the Bulls roster on paper, as I mentioned, Leonard Miller, 6'10", 7'2" wingspan, is a wing on an expiring contract. After this season, he's a free agent. They've exercised his option for $2.4 million, but he will have to be paid after this season. With that in mind, the Bulls on their roster currently, he's a guy that could play the 3 if he has to, but he's probably more of a 4 and a 5. On the Bulls roster, they have Buzelis, who's looks to be a future franchise player. They just drafted Caleb Wilson, who's also 6'10", plays the same spot on the court, and you just use that high of a pick on him, obviously he's going to play. They just traded for Nick Claxton, who's under multiple years of control for about $23 to $25 million. They have just signed Zach Collins. Think of it as a terrible signing, but you just signed him to a near 2-year, $18 million offer total. So you're paying a guy almost $18 million. You're playing that guy. You have Jalen Smith on your roster still. He is making $9 million. So he is going to be out there. You're again, a guy making nearly $10 million is going to be playing. It's just that simple. Then there's the other fact. They have a couple other guys. They drafted another talented player in Dalen Swain. I believe that's how you say his name, with the 15th overall pick. They have him. So the Bulls have a lot of bodies. So where is the playing time coming from? That's where I don't know. I really don't know where the playing time comes from in that aspect. I was actually doing research on Leonard Miller, and the first thing that came up when searching his name was an article written by a fan who has a site. I think it's called Pippin Ain't Easy. Shout out that guy. And it was written by Andrew Holden. I think that was his name. Let me confirm that here as I'm looking for it. Yeah, Andrew Holden is the man that wrote that, and he said the following. This was actually the first line in the article, if I could find it here. The duo of Caleb Wilson and Matas Buzelis will give the Chicago Bulls a fresh look up front this season. But don't forget about a few of the holdovers from last year, including 22-year-old Leonard Miller, who's already getting lost in the shuffle. That is from a Chicago Bulls fan article. So that, I found the name. Andrew Hanlon. I apologize for mispronouncing that, but Pippin Ain't Easy. Go check out his site. Very good read, by the way, if you're a Chicago Bulls fan or an NBA fan entirely and you just want to learn about it. Go check out his site. But anyway, as I was saying, the last line he used in his article, Miller, who's already getting lost in the shuffle. So even Bulls fans don't expect that this guy will have an actual use. He's an expiring contract. So the Knicks should make an offer. I would offer Pacome Dadier, and the Knicks have to overpay because everybody hates them. That's just a simple fact of the matter. Everybody hates the Knicks. It's always anti-Knicks. Nobody can give Leon Rose a fair deal because there's the Knicks tax. There's no Celtic tax. There's no Laker tax. Lakers get Luka Doncic for free, but the Knicks have to overpay for every little thing. That's how it always has been. I'd offer Pacome Dadier and 2 second-round picks for Leonard Miller. The Knicks have a bunch of second-round picks. Leon's done a great job at acquiring them. I'd use an extra one, get rid of Dadier. It also saves the Knicks extra money on the back end in this deal. So it saves them about $500,000. Dadier's $2.9 million. Miller is $2.4 million. Have that be the case. Get this guy. This is a talented young player that fits in on the timeline with Kolek, Diawara, Nickel, Kyle. he fits in to that group of players, the younger team the Knicks are building within their veteran team, and these guys are going to be sprinkled in throughout the regular season. Miller could become a talented player that gives the Knicks another small ball 5 option that could shoot and has the ability to defend with and without Karl-Anthony Towns on the court. The Knicks are going to have to make a move at some point. Leon Rose is the best GM in the NBA. Go out there. I gave you an option. I'm sure he's already thought of it. Go out and give Leonard Miller a call. The Bulls a call for Leonard Miller. Why would the Bulls do it? Like I said, Dottier is younger, has an extra year of control. Maybe he could teach these guys what winning looks like. The Chicago Bulls have never won anything, so he could be a guy who just came from a winning organization that can show them that. And then there's the simple fact: the Bulls are dumb. They've made tons of dumb moves over the course of history. Even most recently, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Ayo Dosunmu, and Kobe White, 4 very talented players, all traded by the Bulls. Do you know how many first-round picks the Bulls got for those guys? 0. So the Bulls have done stupid things. They could do it again. That's all I got. Let me know what you think of this. Should the Knicks trade for Leonard Miller? Leave your thoughts down below. All right, moving on. Knicks' full schedule was released. I'm not going to talk about any individual games per se, but I want to talk quickly about a little stretch of the Knicks season. The moment that's going to be the true eye test for the New York Knicks, and that comes in December. People could say the NBA season doesn't start till post-New Year's, after the All-Star game. People make their jokes. I never believe that stuff. But either way, the New York Knicks, they're going to have their toughest stretch in December. And I say that not in the sense of who they're playing and the level of the competition, but more so the road aspect of their schedule. From December 1st to January 8th, the Knicks have 16 scheduled games. There will be at least 3 more involved in that, depending on how the NBA Cup goes. They could be in the NBA Cup playoffs, or they could get other games scheduled once they know they're out of it. Again, we got to wait and see how that plays out. But as of right now, the Knicks have 16 games officially scheduled for from December 1st to January 8th. In that stretch, the Knicks have 13 games on the road and just 3 home. That is just a ridiculously unfair situation. 13 games. 13 games on the road versus 3 at home. And that's only of the week of Christmas. And one of those home games is against the toughest competition, the San Antonio Spurs, in an NBA Finals rematch. 13 games on the road, and like I said, December 4th to December 11th is the NBA Cup playoff stretch. The Knicks could be on the road for 1 or 2 of those games, and as well as in neutral sites. So they're going to be away from Madison Square Garden for a very long time. They have a West Coast road trip along that moment. So that's going to be a true test for this team. Not necessarily in terms of the competition, as I said, but it's more about the eye test. How important will they treat this? And how badly do they want to win? Are they going to have that same hunger and fire and desire? There's a saying in sports: once you win the first title, you still like winning, but you don't need to win the same way you had. This stretch is going to tell a lot about the Knicks season in aspects of how badly do they want to go back-to-back? How hungry are they? Do they still need to win like their lives depend on it? That's what I want to see. And I need to see that hunger. I need to see that fire. I need to see that passion and that anger that we fell in love with this team, because they need to win more than anything. I know, obviously, regular season games in terms of total numbers doesn't matter, but it's about the effort level. I don't want to see them slacking. I know they have the ability to flip the switch, but that's going to be the difference from being a one-time title team to a possible NBA dynasty. So that's the stretch for the Knicks. What do you think of that ridiculous stretch of schedule by the Knicks from December 1st to January 8th? 3 home games, 13 road. Disgraceful. Fans are not going to go to Madison Square Garden for nearly a month. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, last thing I want to quickly talk about, some news from around the league. Only 2 stories. I wanted to wait to the end of the week before I talked about it all. Bradley Beal yesterday re-signed with the Los Angeles Clippers on a 2-year deal for about $13 million. A little bit surprising. Bradley Beal, a very talented player, but has had some injury problems. We'll see how that works out. But the big news obviously comes from NBA legend Russell Westbrook. Officially announced his retirement earlier this week after 18 pro seasons. Russ, one of the greatest point guards of all time, one of the best players to never win a championship, Mr. Triple-Double, a league MVP. It was so much fun watching him. I'm not a Knicks fan, but Russell Westbrook truly left an impact on the game, and I wanted to shout that out. So, Russ, I tip of the cap, salute. Wish you nothing but the best to you and your family. That's all we got for today. Leave your thoughts down below. We'll be back next week. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. And as always, guys, go Knicks.